Good morning, everyone. Happy Tuesday. I'm the Gray Strega, and I'm here to give you your daily collective read for today, Tuesday, July 11th, 2023. What do we see coming through in the cards today? Let us get the first 5 cards in our 5-card spread. First card that we are starting our day off with today is the Fool. We like seeing this energy because this is the energy of progress. We have been seeing that there were cycles coming to a point of completion yesterday. Double confirmation on that with both of those 10 cards we received. The 10 of Swords in combination with our 10 of Pentacles in its reversal. Moving away from any circumstances or situations that were causing too much conflict, too much complete confusion, allowing those cycles to come to an end so that you can have this new start energy. And that is what we are starting our day off with today. Second card that we are seeing today in our 5-card spread is the 2 of Swords in its reversal. And this is very intriguing and interesting and further confirmation on this movement forward. We identified and saw this card in our read yesterday, but it was in its upright. While yesterday was a moment of orientation and observation, really allowing your intuition to guide you in terms of what you've experienced thus far so that you can find that path moving forward today. What we're really identifying is this is that moment of taking action on that point of intuition, allowing it to drive you forward into these new pathways, these new experiences that are opening up for you at this time. Third card today in our 5-card spread, may I please have the center card for our reading today, is we have here our 6 of Swords in its upright. So we love seeing this as well because this is that moment of victory and achievement. You will recognize that this was the card that was articulating what it is that you needed to release versus what you felt where you were going to have some points of success on yesterday. We are seeing all of those cards that we saw in their blockage point yesterday now coming up in their upright. So what this is really identifying is the closure point that we are allowing to move forward with at this time. Recognizing those cycles and situations that are simply becoming too difficult, too confusing, to be able to take action today to move towards those spaces or places that you truly recognize are going to feel the most victorious for you at this moment. And we are also seeing a change as it relates to your overall feelings at this time, because there is a moment right now of recognizing this path forward for yourself at this moment. It is requiring you to take some action today, to take some of these steps forward on new journeys, but with the conviction of using your intuition to guide you at this point towards those situations and outcomes that you feel are most aligned to your highest path at this moment. Fourth card that we are seeing today in our 5-card spread is we have here our Page of Wands in its reversal. So one of the things that we are recognizing right now is there is some release process that is occurring right now around some circumstances or situations. This is that moment right now of really looking and analyzing at the energy around you right at this point to see where you feel you're getting that productive communication, where you're getting that healthy communication from, versus the spaces or places that you may feel that you need to end communication on at this time, or not necessarily feeling like there is a positive path forward at this moment. But again, all for the alignment of what you feel is in your best interest, moving towards those spaces and places of victory, taking those choices today at this time, even as they move you into new outcomes, new opportunities, new journeys. But what we really love to see here in these cards is there is a determination right now of striving through any places that you are feeling any point of conflict or any issues around communication in order to find that metric of success at this time. For some of you right now, this is moving towards these directions right now in this moment, potentially around situations and circumstances that you're not seeing the ideal communication that you would ideally desire at this point. While for others right now, this is releasing or shedding any kind of conversations or communications that you're not seeing this productive path forward on at this moment. Fifth card that we are coming through right now in our 5-card spread is we have here our Page of Swords. We like this because, as you may have identified, while yesterday was a period of rest, today we see that drive for conviction really coming back to the surface, allowing yourself into this space of taking that confidence back at this time. Yesterday was all about grounding yourself, all about coming into a state of easement, all about finding those places and spaces that you felt were filling this point of fulfillment in you versus those areas and situations that you feel were creating just too much points of exhaustion or spiritual exhaustion, emotional exhaustion. This is that moment that we're seeing that you're really taking action right now and driving through into those spaces and places that you see the brightest possibility, the highest point of outcome, allowing that to guide you forward right now as you proceed. And we do see here, there is a bit of novice energy coming into play right now. The Fool card and the Page of Swords both identify situations or circumstances where you may be feeling like you are kind of on a path of learning. These are feeling like new experiences for you at this time. There could be some anxiety or uncertainty as it relates to the best way to move forward. But what we love to see here is you are giving this opportunity the confidence that you need as you move forward in these directions towards these paths that you are deriving this sense of achievement and outcome towards at this moment. Continuing to get clarification on these cards right now between our Fool card in combination right now with our Two of Swords in its reversal, allowing this to be that breakthrough moment, moving into new opportunities, new journeys, taking action for yourself at this time, allowing your intuition to guide you forward into these new opportunities and experiences. May I please have one card to clarify? Clarification coming through right now with our Five of Wands in its reversal. And we are seeing here, this is that point of guidance. This is that point of observation that you are building on at this moment. For masculine and feminine energy, bearing in mind that this is not based on gender, but what you feel most aligned to, there is a need and desire right now to move away from any situations or circumstances that are creating too much conflict, either internalized conflict within the self or very tangible external conflict that you have been overcoming and trying to deal with over the last week or so. For both energies right now, there is a recognition of having learned enough, having gleaned enough insight from these experiences and circumstances to take effective action at this moment. And this is allowing you that breakthrough point that we were trying to identify yesterday of allowing yourself to move through some processes and cycles that you felt were reaching a point of blockage, but into new pathways of experience, new opportunities, new projects, giving you that sense of excitement even as you drive forth at this time. Continuing to get clarification on these cards right now between our Two of Swords in its reversal in combination with our Six of Wands energy. So this is that day of taking that immediate action, allowing your intuition to guide you towards those spaces and places that you feel are most aligned to your sense of achievement, your sense of victory, either feeling an immediate sense of victory around these circumstances and situations at this moment, or feeling the confidence that the choices that you're taking at this time are leading you to these paths that are going to draw forth this point of success and victory and outcome going forward from here. May I please have one card to clarify? Clarification coming through right now with Sun in its reversal. So I want to point out that there's something very interesting around this energy right now, bearing in mind that this is not based on gender, but what it feels most aligned to. This victory that you're feeling does have some feeling of sadness potentially associated at this time, because what we're really identifying, particularly as it relates to some of the spaces or places of conflict, was that you were holding in some degree to situations or circumstances that you were hoping were going to be in alignment for you at this point. But what we're really identifying right now is this is some of that release process that we're really seeing. This is what's allowing you to move forward at this moment. And while we do see that there is some action taken right now that you feel is in your best interest, is moving you in the spaces or places that you derive to go right now, there is something that may potentially need to be released or addressed at this time. And that is the difficulty around these conflicts that you are trying either to correct or move away from at this point. So this is feeling like some of that heaviness that we identified yesterday still coming into play, because this is the moment that we see that you are taking that course of action, and the choices that you're making right now are places and spaces that are leading you to this feeling of success, victory, outcome, releasing anything that you are feeling, these doubts, these anxieties, these fears, these feelings of disappointment on right now. This is some heavy energy that you're still working to release even as you push forward from this point. So today may feel a bit bittersweet even while you're taking the steps that you know are best for you at this moment. Continuing to get clarification on these cards right now between our Six of Wands in combination with our Page of Wands in its reversal. So again, this is some of that release energy that we're seeing here right now. And this is why we see some of the heaviness coming through right now with this Sun in its reversal, because this is that moment of looking at the conversation that you're currently engaged in at this time, or conversations that you're not seeing the communication that you would derive at this moment. And this is that point of analysis in terms of recognizing, do you feel that there is some kind of victory or outcome associated to these circumstances and situations at this moment? Or are they just leading to pathways of unproductive conversation, of unproductive movement, and recognizing the difference between these right now, recognizing if this is something that can be amended or if this is going to be an ongoing blockage. This is also giving identification on what that release point is at this time. May I please have one card to clarify? Clarification coming through right now with the Death card in its reversal. You will recognize this card because we have been pulling it a lot in our daily collective reads, and we actually received it today for the bottom of the deck message as it relates to the card of the day. Now, what we're really identifying is this is the identification place of where this blockage is. This is that moment of recognizing right now that there may be some circumstances and situations on that you are effectively recognizing the difference. And this is the point that is so important at this moment. Whether this communication issue, whether the communication issues that you're experiencing at this time have an ability to transform, to change, or if they feel like they are going to stay consistently in this mode at this moment. Or can you identify some imminent victory as it relates to them at this time? This is going to give the clarification in terms of the action that you're taking at this moment to recognize whether these are things that can be transformed or are just creating a blockage that can lead to this point of success, or if they're just creating a blockage for you in general, in which case you may be taking action today to be able to move away from them so that you can start these new journeys for yourself at this moment. Continuing to get clarification on these cards right now between our Page of Wands in its reversal in combination with our Page of Swords energy. So again, feeling right now this push and pull. Look at the difference between these two energies. What we're really recognizing right now is a lot of action to be taken today, specifically in the realms of communication, specifically in the realms of what you feel is productive versus what you feel is not. But what we like about this for both masculine and feminine energy right now is there is a renewed moment of confidence right now, allowing these actions to occur in order to address or move away from blockages as it relates to productive and healthy communication at this time. May I please have one card to clarify? Two cards coming out to clarify in this moment. We have here our Magician card in combination with our Nine of Cups energy. So you will recall we saw this card in its reversal yesterday. We have it back in its upright because this is that moment of taking action right now to move you into the spaces and the directions that you feel are giving you that capacity of movement, giving you that place of appreciation, allowing you to be seen, heard, understood, recognized, and also that feeling of self-empowerment rising to the surface on the heels of feeling that energy, which is further lending you that degree of confidence in terms of the action that you're taking right now versus those spaces or places that you just feel or recognize are doing the opposite. A lot of action being taken right now. And again, a lot of feelings of newness here, of these being new journeys, but journeys that you are ultimately ready to move into because you are feeling that uptick in self-empowerment, recognizing what it is that you're truly trying to manifest for yourself at this moment versus any spaces or places that you feel are just creating hurdles and blockages for you at this time. Now let's continue to get clarification on these cards right now between our Five of Wands in its reversal in combination with our Sun card in its reversal. Again, a point of observation, looking again. This is having to release some of that conflict energy that we have been seeing over the last few days, because what we are really identifying here is there is a point of addressing either internal and external conflicts today, all to the degree and capacity of either finding a point of resolution from them or moving away from them entirely. And this is that moment that feels somewhat bittersweet, because it is making you recognize some spaces or places that are creating some of these frustration points, creating some feelings of disappointment, creating some feelings of uncertainty. May I please have one card to clarify? Clarification coming through right now with our Knight of Swords in its reversal. This card has been coming back and forth over the last couple of days. We got it as the daily collective read, the part of the day yesterday, but even in the daily collective read yesterday, we had this same card. I even think it was in the same position in its reversal. This is addressing right now masculine energies, doubts and fears rising to the surface right now, bearing in mind that this is not based on gender, but what you feel most aligned to. For masculine energy right now, there is something going on as it relates to this conflict that is feeling like a blockage for you at this moment. Because whether this be an internal conflict that you are trying to move through at this moment, or a very tangible external conflict, your own confidence is being shaken as it relates to how to approach these points of conflict. For masculine energy right now, there could be a feeling of not wanting to have to address some of the conflict points that potentially are rising up around you right now, which is creating a degree of you pulling away your energy from spaces or places, potentially not wanting to move into conversations or feelings of conversations that you don't necessarily have the answers to or want to provide the answers to. This could also be feeling like there's something about these right now that is feeling very triggering, that is creating this sensation of you moving away from them, or a desire, a deep desire for masculine not to engage in conflict at this moment. While for feminine energy right now, this is that feeling that you could be identifying from the masculine energy, because this is creating that feeling of frustration or upsetness for you right now. Because what we're really identifying and articulating for the feminine right now is there are some conflicts that you would ideally desire resolution around right now, be they internally or externally. But there is something potentially associated with some of the masculine energy that is associated to these points of conflict where you feel like you are not necessarily seeing that support. You are not necessarily seeing that clarification. You are not necessarily seeing what you would ideally desire to see in their own ability or degree to want to help come into a state of easement over these. This could even be feeling, again, like there could be a sensation right now around these that the masculine energy isn't being as forthright as you would expect, or as forthright as you would desire. This could be feeling like the feminine energy recognizing this point of lack of confidence around the masculine energy, and potentially even articulating it as some feelings of a lack of bravery or a lack of or having some sense of cowardliness to it, which is creating for the feminine energy some of this feeling of disappointment at this time in terms of how the masculine energy is potentially addressing some of these circumstances or scenarios as they themselves are trying to overcome some of this point of conflict. For the energies that are in union right now, this is potentially working through some of this hurdle, working through some of these doubts, working through some of these fears. While for others right now, this is one of the trigger points that we are seeing that we're causing some of the conflict points that we identified in the masculine and feminine energy aligning yesterday by both being in that wand royal card energy in their combinate reversals. Continuing to get clarification on these cards right now between the Sun card in its reversal in combination with our Death card in its reversal. So clarification right now between situations and circumstances that you are currently experiencing that are creating some feelings of uncertainty, creating some feelings of doubt, creating some feelings of grief or sadness, but also recognizing the fact that this is feeling like the blockage, recognizing to a certain extent that some of these situations and circumstances feel somewhat built to just create feelings of frustration, create hurdles, of emotional difficulty. And recognizing this right now is what is allowing you to be able to take the action that you need right now to push forward on these. Because what we're really identifying right now is some kind of deeper karmic hurdle at work and at play here. Recognizing some circumstances and situations that you totally recognize and identify as spaces that are challenging your own point of optimism at this moment. But most importantly, and this is what we love about this moment, is there is a point of recognition that you are identifying that these situations and circumstances are almost built to be triggering. That the trigger point is not necessarily what is occurring, but it's requiring you to have to push forward through your own uncertainty, through your own emotionality to help you overcome the blockage that almost feels intentionally set, created there to challenge and to teach and to educate you at this moment. May I please have one card to clarify? Clarification coming through right now and we love to see our queen in this position, especially when we see these two cards at play. Because what we're really seeing here, and it will feel very different for feminine and masculine energy at this moment, is feminine energy is feeling deeply triggered right now. We identified that. It was creating some blockages in communication and planning that we identified yesterday. But what we love to see here is while feminine energy is going through a moment right now of setback, they are feeling some of that feeling of grief or sadness or loss as it relates to some circumstances or situations that are not allowing, that they're not able to see that point of transformation being able to occur on right now. There is a point that feminine energy is not allowing themselves to fall victim to their own emotional hurdles at this moment. That feminine energy is utilizing this moment to come into a state of deeper balance, not allowing their emotionality to trigger them, not coming into a space of reacting due to the emotionality, but instead utilizing this as a moment of, again, taking some of that pause energy that we identified yesterday and taking this opportunity to really balance their own emotional center, not letting themselves get overwhelmed by the setback, by the hurdle, but really grounding in their own emotionality, coming into that state of balance to help overcome any of these feelings of hurdles or adversities that they're currently experiencing, all for the sake of coming into deeper balance with their own selves at this time. Even and despite circumstances and situations right now where they are identifying frustration with the masculine energy around them at this moment, bearing in mind this is not based on gender, but what you feel most aligned to, that they are feeling some frustration or degree of frustration around their own ability to come forward in the way that they would ideally desire at this moment. This is not a moment that the feminine isn't feeling frustration towards the masculine. It's not the fact that she's just not letting it trigger her. Feminine energy is learning to let these emotional lessons not affect her on an emotional deep place, but rather sinking back into a state of balance even through some of these setbacks and adversities. While for masculine energy right now, this is going to feel a little bit different, and especially whether you're working in union right now or not. For masculine energy right now, today is a day that is feeling like a point of frustration, particularly as it relates to your own degree of confidence at this time. While we see that you want to move forward in some capacity, something about today is bringing to the surface your own doubts, your own fears, your own lack of confidence at this time. We are seeing here that you yourself are also navigating some situations or circumstances that you're looking for that positive outcome at this moment, recognizing some of the blockages here that you yourself are currently experiencing. But what we are really identifying is happening at this time is, again, the masculine energy that is working in supportive union with feminine. You are getting a degree of emotional support from feminine energy at this time, even as you overcome some of these hurdles at this moment for yourself. While for the masculine energy that is not in union at this time, this could be feeling a little bit different, because what we are actually seeing here at this moment is you are recognizing that there are some situations that are potentially triggering you at this moment. But one of the problems is the fact that you're seeing the fact that one of the reasons about this right now is the fact that the feminine energy is not triggered. The feminine energy is not necessarily triggered. They're not losing their own confidence in this. You are recognizing the groundedness of a potential feminine energy around some circumstances or situations that you yourself are expressing your own doubts, your own fears, your own setbacks on. And that is leading you to a point right now to really have to orient and do this work for yourself at this moment. Because what you are potentially recognizing right now is observing a point of deep difficulty for you at this time where you yourself are questioning your own path forward, but in correlation with the feminine energy that you are potentially looking at and recognizing is able to maintain this point of emotional balance, even in the moment of a point of frustration or difficulty or blockage potentially coming to the surface around you at this time. This is that moment right now for masculine and really orienting on their own work and their own journey, because for this could be feeling right now that you see a feminine energy that is in this point of emotional balance, but you are feeling some kind of setback in order of your own doubts and fears in order to be able to come towards them as fully as you would ideally desire right now, because your own confidence in your own self and your own abilities is flagging. While for feminine energy right now, even if you are experiencing this right now, and this is what we love with the feminine energy at this moment, even if you are experiencing and seeing some of these setbacks right now, even if the feminine energy is feeling some of this loss, the feminine energy is not allowing themselves to be triggered at this moment. Instead, they are just working to maintain their own sense of emotional balance despite difficult moments and opportunities that is helping them come into and ground in their own power at this time. A lot of that rest energy that we saw yesterday for the feminine coming through today, but mixed with action based on a balanced feminine outlook, which is what we also like to see. Continuing to get clarification right now between our Death card in its reversal, in combination with the Magician, in combination with our Nine of Cups energy. So what we're really identifying at this moment is, for both masculine and feminine energy right now, trying to move back into a state of power, trying to utilize today to come into a deeper sense of self-appreciation and what it is that you're trying to build for yourself at this time, while identifying any sort of blockages that are preventing you from coming into this feeling of manifestation, into this feeling of growth at this moment. This is that moment of really taking action and looking at what in spaces and places make you feel like you are at an advantage, that are fulfilling you, versus the ones that just feel like they're creating a blockage that you need to overcome or amend or transform through. May I please have one card to clarify? Clarification coming through right now with our Five of Swords in its reversal. So this will feel a bit different depending on whether you align to feminine or masculine energy right now. Bearing in mind, this is not based on gender, but what you feel most aligned to. What we're really seeing at this moment is there is a moment of addressing something right now. But what we love to see right now that is so valuable and so important is the fact that there is something right now that is happening about an orientation at looking at past opportunities, looking at past experiences, but not necessarily returning to past opportunities and past experiences. Rather, a moment that you are currently experiencing in the present right now, where you are recognizing that there are circumstances and situations that you are currently going through that feel very similar to ones that you may have experienced in the past. Something feeling a little bit familiar. But what we love about this is you are not letting yourself get triggered. You are not letting yourself respond the same way you might typically respond in those moments. Rather, you are alchemizing those moments today. You are alchemizing those moments. You are taking the energy from them. You are observing the situation and circumstance by breaking it down to its core and really observing and saying to yourself, is this productive? Is this a place where I'm being seen or appreciated? Is this creating for yourself at this moment these opportunities, these spaces, the places that are going to actually give forth to you at this time? Or is this just a karmic blockage? Is this just a karmic blockage that is effectively being put in your way to prevent you from being able to come into this point of capacity? This is that moment right now that you are utilizing those lessons of the past, recognizing on the themes, and allowing yourself to take a different course of action, hence allowing this room for you to grow in your own experience at this time with a care and concentration on what is best for you at this moment by also remembering these moments from the past. Continuing, dropped a card on the floor. Continuing to get clarification on these cards right now between our Knight of Swords in its reversal in combination with our Queen of Wands right now. Look at the difference, my friends. Look at the difference between these two energies. Look at the difference between the masculine and the feminine energy today. And this is the note. This is all you need to know right now in terms of what's going on between these two energies, because what are we seeing here? Well, and again, this will feel a bit different depending on whether you align to feminine or masculine energy right now, bearing in mind that this is not based on gender, but what you feel most aligned to. Masculine energy, you are feeling a profound lack of confidence today. The actions that masculine are taking right now as it relates to some of these moments are moments where the masculine energy is moving away from places and spaces where their own confidence is flagging. The difficult thing around this, particularly for masculine right now, is you might be identifying for yourself at this time that some of these actions that you're currently taking are not moving from a space of manifestation. They're moving from a state of potential anxieties and doubts and fears rising to the surface at this time. This is that moment right now of really having to look at your actions and really ask yourself, are I doing these from a space of confidence at this moment? Or am I letting my fear move me forward? Masculine, feminine energy right now is having a bit more of a challenge today, because what we're really seeing is some of the actions that they need to take right now are having to push against their own doubts, their own fears, their own self-limitations, as you will. And they are trying to navigate this space right now. Again, for the masculine energy that is feeling this right now, that is in union with feminine, they are getting at the same time that supportive point of emotional balance, even through their own doubts and fears rising to the surface at this time, with the care, with the degree of an attention of a feminine energy that is able to maintain an emotional balance even through some of these difficulties and hurdles right now. Masculine energy is leaning in the union right now on feminine energy to provide that emotional support to help them through some feelings of doubts and fears that are coming into the surface today. While for the feminine and masculine, and for feminine, for her part, if you are in union, this is potentially a lot of work that you need to do right now today. Maintaining and recognizing that you yourself are working to hold on to a point of emotional balance for the support of a partnership, navigating some of that chariot energy that we saw coming through just a few days ago around a masculine energy that is feeling these anxieties, that are feeling these doubts, that are feeling these grief and fear. Trying to work them through it, even through points right now that you can kind of recognize that you need to do some of this emotional heavy lifting right now. While for the masculine and feminine energy that is not in union, this is going to feel a lot more difficult. Why? Because what we are identifying right now for masculine energy is, if you are not in union right now, you are identifying some spaces and places right now that you are feeling a lot of doubts and fears rising to the surface. You may be recognizing right now that you are acting towards those doubts and fears, moving you right now, and you're trying to face that, and it's creating a sense of a lack of confidence for you at this time. And it's all related to your own ability to move towards right now a balanced feminine energy. There's something right now where masculine energy that is not in union wants to move forward towards a feminine energy that they recognize is able to maintain and hold a point of emotional balance at this time. But your own confidence to a certain degree, masculine, is flagging. Because something around these circumstances and situations are creating a sense of having to go inward right now. There's something here about having to take a new approach, experiencing a point of a new approach, working to try to ease or not move into a space of conflict. But it is leaving you at a bit of a loss in terms of how to move forward towards a feminine energy that is effectively not reacting the way that you would anticipate that they would react. This could even be a moment right now of the masculine energy moving in some degree and feeling a point of frustration, trying to get some kind of emotional reaction right now from your feminine energy. But that emotional reaction that you're trying to generate isn't necessarily going the way you can, because this feminine energy is in a state of emotional balance. And an emotionally balanced person is not going to react the way that you might ideally desire that they react to a certain extent. While for the feminine energy right now, this is a man who's not in union. This is a moment right now that you are recognizing your own sense of emotional balance, because what we're really seeing right now for us, the feminine, is for the feminine energy that's not in union right now, there is a point of recognizing right now that some of the actions that you're seeing around the masculine energy, best case scenario, you're looking at them with a certain degree of empathy and recognizing that their own doubts and fears are rising to the surface right now. For the other part of the feminine collective right now, this could be energy that you've effectively had it with. This could be energy that you are effectively completely done with or ready to move away from, because you are looking at this not from a point of empathy and their own doubts and fears rising to the surface. You are just seeing this as a point of a supreme cowardice. And it's that cowardice right now that is, but regardless of whether you're looking at this anxiety or fear around a masculine energy that may be causing some of this conflict for you at this moment, what we're really identifying is the beauty of this moment for feminine is even through a moment of conflict right now with the masculine energy that you're either recognizing is moving from a state of their own doubts and anxieties and fears, limiting their own ability to come towards you in the way that you would desire at this moment, or simply observing that as an act of cowardice. Feminine energy isn't letting it affect them. Feminine energy is not letting it affect them. Feminine energy is staying in a state of emotional balance, despite what the masculine energies reactions are at this moment. Whether they're coming forward or not, feminine energy is just working on maintaining their own emotional balance, which is lovely. Thank you so much for the gift. For masculine, this is a much more challenging moment, because this is a moment that even again, whether you're in union right now, you're feeling doubts and fears. Whether you're not in union right now, this is going to be very hard for masculine energy, because this is your doubts and fears, recognizing that you've allowed them to dictate a lot of your actions at this moment. And they're not necessarily having the effect that you want towards your feminine energy right now, which is making you have to question how to approach this feminine moving forward from this point. May I please have one card to clarify? Clarification coming through right now. We love this card. Feminine energy coming through right now with our high priestess. We like seeing these two cards in combination, my friends. We like seeing these two cards in combination. Why do we like seeing these two cards in combination? Look at this energy from feminine today. Look at this energy from feminine today. What are we seeing here? We are seeing from feminine energy, for both energy that is in union and not in union today, what we are really identifying is a feminine energy that is working into being as unflappable as possible to a certain extent right now. Feminine energy, and this is beautiful. I need to stress why this is so important for the feminine right now, especially based on the cards of the day that we have been receiving. If you will recall, if you have been paying attention, my friends, the two cards that we have been seeing in combination right now were the Star card in combination with the Empress energy in its reversal. What has been the overriding theme that we have been seeing around the struggle point of the feminine energy over the last few weeks, class? Do you remember? It has been the ability to open up the heart space while also coming into a sense of vulnerability, of being your most authentic expression of self. Feminine's mastering it. Feminine's learning the lesson on how to do it. How is feminine learning the lesson on how to do it? Well, we saw it the other day when we had that crack, that opening moment coming through with the Empress finally coming up that like shifted the whole landscape. We will point out right now the feminine energy opening their heart space might have started some of this conflict in the first place. May have started some of this conflict in the first place. Do you remember that, class? Do you remember us seeing that? Yeah, the feminine energy did not want to open their heart space. They opened their heart space. A conflict effectively ensued. Okay? All right? And now what's happened right now is the masculine energy is reacting to the feminine opening the heart space. It has caused anxieties and fears because, and feminine for her part has now balanced the two energies. Feminine has balanced the two energies, which is reacting Masculine energy's reaction to this has been one of anxiety, of fear, of uncertainty, of not knowing how to react to what they are experiencing from the feminine at this time. Whereas feminine has found that point of balance. And what do we see that we love right now about this point of balance? What do we love about this? This is a feminine energy that is balancing between the head and the heart space. They are balancing between the head and the heart space because this is expressing to us an emotional feminine energy that is feeling their feels, but is not reacting from a point of their emotionality. They are experiencing their feelings. They are observing their feelings. They are integrating the feelings into the intuition, into the higher insight to see clearly. This has been the clarification point that the feminine energy recognizes. This is also why our high priestess has been coming up in its reversal, because the feminine energy recognizes that they're on the mark, not when they're just in the intuition space, not when they're just in the heart space, but when they allow some of that emotionality to come into the point of intuition and logic. That's where the magic happens. That's where that's what the intuition is. The intuition is the combination of the emotional with the logic framework. Feminine energy is staying in even keel right now through a point of conflict, even in the face of the masculine energy, not necessarily being able to come forth in the same way at this time. For a masculine energy right now, that is feeling and experiencing this at this moment. This, if you are in union, this is working right now with the feminine energy that you recognize maintains this degree of ability to keep their head through any hurdles and obstacles or feelings of difficulty or sadness or working through conflict that you may potentially be experiencing. You are leaning on and leveraging this feminine energy's power to do this right now, even at a moment that you are experiencing some of that anxiety to a tilt. While for the feminine and masculine energy right now that are not in union, this is much more difficult. Because what are we seeing is happening right now for the energies that are not in union? We are seeing a moment right now we've been seeing over the last few days, some point of conflict that has been happening right now between masculine and feminine energy, bearing in mind that this is not based on gender, but what you feel most aligned to. The conflict point arose from the feminine energy speaking directly from their heart space. We got that opening of the emotionality in the heart space at this time. Resulted in immediate conflict between the masculine and the feminine energy. And what is now happening is masculine energy is pulling back. They're doing a withdrawal moment. Okay? They're withdrawing from due to the emotional or the actual argument or the point of conflict. They are withdrawing. We saw that withdrawal happening yesterday. The masculine energy is still in that point of withdrawal that we saw articulated in the daily collective read. If you watched it yesterday, you can find it on my YouTube. If you didn't, you shouldn't. You should if you didn't, because masculine and feminine energy were at a perfect point of alignment yesterday, which is almost never happens. Now, masculine energy, and now they're not. Masculine energy right now, and that's why there's no action, because when everybody's in alignment, nothing happens. Masculine energy right now is at a point where they're still feeling that withdrawal energy. They're still pulling away. They're pulling away. They're pulling their way. They're pulling away. But there could be a moment right now for the masculine energy where they are anticipating or expecting a reactivity point to the pullback, to the withdrawal. Instead, what they are experiencing, which is making them withdraw even more and feel uncertain about how to move forward at this time, masculine energy, is that withdrawal action isn't necessarily eliciting what you would anticipate from the feminine energy at this time, because it is not creating a reaction point from the feminine. What you are identifying, which could be a point of stillness from the feminine energy right now, is a feminine energy that is not reacting to these types of behaviors. They're not reacting to someone pulling away. They're not reacting to these actions. Instead, feminine energy is moving into a state of holding their own emotional and spiritual point of consciousness. Feminine energy still has utilized this moment that we saw yesterday to come into balance, which means it's not effectively going to change their own emotional reaction right now. It's a point of them effectively, feminine energy has been holding in the space of their emotionality right now. They're not allowing their emotionality to be adjusted right now by the outside actions of others. They are they are nurturing, and their act of withholding right now is holding and observing their emotions, but also allowing them to inform their higher logic and their intuition at this time. So for the masculine energy right now, if you are reacting and doing things and you are not seeing the reaction that you would anticipate from your feminine energy at this time, I need to stress to you, that's not a feminine energy that doesn't care. That is a feminine energy that is not allowing outside behavior to adjust their own emotional landscape at this moment. This is a feminine energy that is maintaining their own emotional balance and allowing their insight to guide them in that expression at this time. While for the feminine energy right now, this is feeling that within you at this moment. This is observing some kind of reactivity point around the masculine energy right now. For the feminine and masculine energy right now that's in union, you are potentially helping your masculine energy through a moment that you are recognizing their own doubts and fears rising to the surface. While for the feminine energy that is not in union right now, this is going to feel like one of two expressions, which is, again, seeing a moment right now around a masculine energy that they are pulling back, that they are withdrawing, and recognizing that it is their own doubts and fears coming to the surface and not letting it necessarily have an impact on you. Having the empathy and care of recognizing that this is happening from a place of doubts and fears, and this is reaction point. For the other part of the feminine energy right now, this is going to feel a lot different, because this is something about coming into a point of understanding some of this energy that's coming towards you and potentially not having as much empathy around it at this time. Because what you are potentially articulating upon here is seeing a masculine energy that you feel is intentionally withdrawing their energy to try to elicit a reaction. And it's not working anymore. It's just not working anymore. Because why? Because your intuition is feeding into your emotions that is creating a point of outlook, and you are seeing based on situations and circumstances from the past. You are seeing potentially that this behavior is meant to elicit a reaction, that this withdrawal isn't just a reactive withdrawal. You might be looking at this from masculine and really inferring or considering whether this is an intentional withdrawal meant to elicit an emotional reaction from you. And for the feminine energy right now, the answer is emphatically nope, 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 nope. And we love this for the feminine, because this is not, we need to see here. For half the feminine collective right now, this could be you holding a lot of care and consideration for masculine that you don't necessarily feel like they recognize that they're doing this. For half of the feminine collective right now, you could be seeing that there is a masculine energy that is acting reactively and they don't necessarily recognize what they're doing. And you're doing your best to maintain that point of balance throughout it. For the other half of the feminine collective, this is a moment that you are looking at this potential energy and you are saying to yourself, is this meant to are these actions simply being taken to try to get me out of emotional balance? Are they simply being taken to try to get a rise out of me? Is this a strategic withdrawal? And if the answer is yes, the feminine energy is like, no, it's not going to work. Because feminine energy is working right now on maintaining emotional balance, and they are in alignment with their higher intuition. So we've got ourselves a bit of a stalemate here, my friends. Oh, but I like this for the feminine. For masculine, this is a harder day. We will say for the masculine energy, we're really seeing from the masculine energy, don't let your fear drive your actions right now. Don't let your fear drive your actions right now, because masculine energy is really set today to allow that fear to drive their actions beyond your own intentionality. Your intentions are fighting right now with your actions or your own doubts and fears. Continuing. Oh, and we're trying to get clarity on those two cards. Right. Clarification now on Queen of Cups energy and our Five of Swords energy. This is so important, guys. This is so important. What are we seeing here? Clarification between our Queen of Cups and the Five of Swords in its reversal. This is going to feel a little bit different for feminine and masculine energy, bearing in mind this is not based on gender, but what it feels most aligned to, and boy, is it different. For feminine energy right now, what is happening? Why is a feminine energy going through a moment right now where they are able to maintain such a degree of emotional balance? What is happening? Simply put, feminine energy is coming into a moment of emotional balance right now because there are some circumstances and situations that they're currently experiencing that feel pretty darn similar to something that they've experienced in the past. There is something here that feels very similar to it. Feminine energy is looking at those past situations for insight, for clarity, for observation to get them into this high priestess energy, but they're not going back to them. They're not repeating the cycle. They're not going back to doing what they did back then. Time is now accurately working as a lesson. Those past situations are not being repeated. They are being alchemized and learned from to allow a space, a place of feminine energy to feel the emotional things that they felt in those situations from the past, but not reacting to them. Because what this is really articulating and identifying is there may be some experiences from the past where feminine allowed their own emotional reactivity to dictate their actions. Feminine ain't doing it at that time. Feminine energy is observing and utilizing a point of observation on their emotions instead of acting from them, staying in a point of emotional balance with the support of the experiences that have led them up to this point. This is that karma, guys. This is that karma. It's repeating until you learn the lesson. This is feminine going, I got the lesson. Feminine's going, I got the lesson. Oh, darn, I figured out the lesson. Right? So this is a moment that is feeling a lot more emotionally balanced for the feminine right now, okay? Well, for the masculine energy right now, what we are really identifying is there is a moment right now that you yourself are experiencing, going through circumstances and situations that feel like the past. This is why the masculine energy right now, my dears, this is why you are feeling a point of anxiety on this. Because something around these circumstances or situations from the past are triggering you. They're triggering you, okay? They are triggering you. Something about now is reminding you of a past situation. But for the masculine and feminine energy, that is in union. This is a moment that you are leaning on support of a balanced feminine energy, and you're recognizing the difference between now and then is because you have a supportive, balanced feminine energy to help you through a situation that is feeling very triggering because it's reminding you of something from the past right now. Hence, that Knight of Swords being supported by our Queen of Cups for the energies that are in union. For the energies that are not in union for the masculine right now, this could be feeling a heck of a lot worse. Because this could be, again, working through a moment right now where you are trying to do something from the past, or you are doing something similar that occurred in the past, but it is not leading to the same outcome that it initially led to in those past experiences. And why? Why isn't it leading to the same experience, masculine? And this is why you're feeling this point of uncertainty or confusion, because you're doing something from the past. It's not generating the response that you would ideally expect it to, because this time you are working in towards a feminine energy that is emotionally balanced. That's emotionally balanced. And it's this point of recognition for the masculine energy right now, if you are not in union, that you are recognizing that it is making you question your own self, because this could be that moment of understanding and going, oh my goodness, it's not working. They're emotionally balanced. Oh my goodness, what am I doing? They're emotionally balanced. And that is what is leading you to a point right now where you, my masculine energy, are not sure what to do because something isn't working the way it used to work in order to get a reaction or a response from a feminine energy. May I please have a card of clarification? But I will point out for the masculine energy, that doesn't mean that this feminine energy does not care. It just shows the fact that, and for half the masculine collective right now, I need to point this out. For half the masculine collective right now, you might even be looking at this the wrong way and seeing this as a feminine energy that doesn't care. It's not that the feminine energy doesn't care in this capacity. It's that they're emotionally balanced. It's that they're not going to throw a tantrum if you do this, if you withdraw. You're working right now with the feminine energy that if you withdraw, they're going to go, oh, okay. That sucks. See you later. Well, for the other half of the masculine collective right now, you are potentially identifying that something that you typically do or something that occurs is not generating that type of reaction. And you may be seeing this as a point of relief. You may be seeing this as a point of saying, oh, wow, this is someone who is emotionally balanced. I need to change my direction. I'm not sure how to approach them. This is you really kind of utilizing this moment and trying to figure out how to come towards this feminine energy right now, because you are recognizing that you might not have worked with a feminine energy this balanced before. You're like, wow, I don't know what to do. They're so emotionally balanced. This is either feeling like a moment right now of doubt for the masculine energy in one of two capacities. This is either you running from the hills because you recognize that there is an emotionally balanced feminine that you don't know how to engage with. And you are going to tell yourself, trying to tell yourself in the process that they don't care when they clearly do. For the other half of the collective right now, this is you effectively recognizing an emotionally balanced feminine that you're trying to move towards right now, but you're a little bit at a loss as to how to come towards them. Like you're really trying to figure out what the right tactic is right now, especially potentially because there may be some kind of struggle point that's already between you and this energy that we saw over the last few days. May I please have one card to clarify? Transverse. What did I say? What did I say? It's transverse. It's transverse. What did I say? Look at this. Look at these two. Remember what I said yesterday? Okay, I'm going to say it again. Yesterday's reading, we almost never see this. It was a flatline reading. Wasn't much going on. Self-care was key. Masculine and feminine energy were in perfect alignment yesterday. Perfect alignment. The readings were perfectly aligned. Today we're seeing, and look, and why were they aligned yesterday? Why? Yeah, thank you, 12. Why were they aligned yesterday? Both energies were in King and Queen of Wands in its reversal. Uncertainty, lack of communication, feelings of exhaustion. Feminine energies process this. They're cycling through it faster now than the masculine. The masculine and feminine energy are still very much in alignment, but there is a shift happening. This is why these energies do not stay in the same space. They dovetail for a minute and then they start to shift again. And what we're seeing here that's happening is there's something about the emotionality at play right now, that the feminine energy is integrating on a faster level than the masculine energy, bearing in mind that this is not based on gender, but what you feel most aligned to. Feminine energy has come out of yesterday ready to deal with the emotional challenges. Feminine energy took a spot, like an emotional, spiritual spa day yesterday for themselves. And they came out of it emotionally in the same place that they went in. Feminine energy came out with a renewed sense of self, with a renewed sense of their own emotionality at this time to guide their intuition. Feminine energy is holding their ground as it relates to their emotional experience at this time. They're not asking, they're not begging, they're not chasing, but they are expressing, they are observing, and they're paying a lot of attention, and they're taking very decisive steps today to follow their emotional journey in whatever way that leads. Either, again, working to heal things right now or moving away from things that are proving that they are not in alignment for them. While masculine energy right now is going through a lot more of an emotional challenge as they move away from yesterday's point of alignment. Because masculine energy is still uncertain about their own emotions at this time. There's something about the emotions that they're feeling that it's not even the fact, like, this is masculine, like really just questioning their own emotions at this time. And what led to masculine? questioning their own emotional landscape, feeling like they are somewhat unstable right now. Feminine energy emotionally expressing theirs in a clear, articulate way. Feminine energy just being honest and open. This has got masculine energy in a bit of a tailspin. You don't know what to do emotionally with this masculine. You certainly don't know how to move forward from it. There's something here that, like, again, the masculine energy is like, I'm seeing like someone's tongue falling out of their mouth. You're at a loss. Emotionally right now, you're still at a loss. You're still in that state of withholding that we identified yesterday. That the feminine and masculine energy we're equally sharing. It's taking longer for masculine to come out of that right now. And it may be, and I need to warn the masculines right now. I need to warn all the masculines who are watching this reading right now. Alarm bells, little alarm bells going off today, especially with that King of Wands in its reversal yesterday. And now we've got your Knight of Swords here and your King of Cups in its transverse. You have to be really careful today, masculine, and making sure that you're talking from a space of intentionality and you're not letting these weird feelings say something that you know isn't basically in alignment with what you ideally want. This is going to be a much more triggering day for masculine because the situations, something about these situations in the present are triggering situations from the past. Feminine energy is learning a deep lesson by utilizing that and alchemizing it right now so that they can stay in a point of emotional balance. Masculine energy right now is having a much more difficult time with the triggering issues from the past in association with the feminine balanced energy in the present. For the masculine energy, I'm going to say it again, for the masculine energy that is in union right now, you are getting this emotional support from your feminine while you yourself are going through a point of emotional conflict and confusion that is making it hard for you to figure out what to do. While for the masculine energy right now that is not in union, this is what I said, I said you're at a loss as to what to do to come towards a balanced feminine energy. Okay? This is, again, the masculine energy looking at some situations and circumstances from the past. If the masculine energy isn't in union right now, today could lead to a point of deep confusion because what masculine energy is effectively learning right now is utilizing something from the past in terms of how you come towards the feminine right now and not necessarily getting the reaction that you would ideally have desired or expected at this time. And this is either leading to one or two scenarios. This is a masculine energy utilizing some kind of action from the past, hoping to generate an emotional reaction from a feminine, not getting that emotional reaction back in kind because the feminine energy is at a state of emotional balance. And the problem, the reason this is so triggering for the masculine energy in that mode right now is because you realize that the reason it's not working is because they're emotionally balanced. So this is either, again, a masculine energy that is feeling stuck, conflicted, uncertain what to do, maybe even running from this connection right now because they're identifying that lack of reactivity as like a lack of care because the masculine energy is emotionally confused at this time. Or this is identifying and articulating right now a masculine energy that is trying to move towards a feminine energy, but feeling at an emotional loss and emotional overwhelm, uncertain what to do, trying to utilize experiences from the past to give you insight on this, but they're not helping. They're not helping you because there's something different about this feminine energy that is not like those experiences, which means you don't know what to do because you haven't been around a feminine that's in this point of emotional balance before. Final cards for today's spread between our High Priestess energy in combination with our King of Cups in its transverse. So again, this is very interesting energy to be moving through our day with today because what we're really seeing here is for masculine energy, again, more of a difficult day today. You're feeling a lot more emotionally triggered. You're feeling a lot of emotionality today, masculine. And the worst part is you don't know if you can handle it or not. You're not sure with what you're feeling if you can handle this level of energy in you. You're trying your best to navigate your feelings today, and you can't tell if you're doing an okay job or not. You're not sure which way to go. Masculine energy is moving right now. They're not sure whether to go right or left because, like, again, something about this feminine energy right now has you in a state that you don't know what to do. A lot of the masculine energy is kind of trying to run from their own emotions at this time because of some of that anxiety at play. For the masculine and feminine energy, as I've been saying throughout this reading, that is in union right now, this is the masculine energy going through some of this confused emotionality at this time with the support of a feminine energy that they recognize is able to maintain a highly intuitive, logic-based approach, even as the masculine energy wrestles through some emotional difficulties. And this is why this masculine energy is leaning on this feminine energy for union, because they recognize that their own emotional confusion isn't getting the feminine energy off the keel. This is actually working in a supportive fashion for the partnerships that are currently going through mutual difficulty. And the feminine energy for their part is able to maintain a point of emotional balance right now around a masculine that they recognize is in this point of emotional confusion, specifically because they recognize that it is just that something around this situation or circumstance has deeply triggered the masculine, but that this is a temporary situation through which the feminine energy is trying to work to help them achieve, again, for masculine and feminine, that path of mutual success and victory as you overcome these hurdles. While for the masculine and feminine energy that is not in union right now, this is feeling much, much different. Because what we are identifying right now is a masculine energy that is in a point of emotional confusion. They're not sure which way to go, left or right, this way or that way. It's so much emotion right now attached to these circumstances or situations that the masculine energy, you're behaving a little erratically. And I think the masculine energy can even identify this here, particularly with your Knight of Wands and Swords in its reversal. The masculine energy is going through a minute of trying to find a path forward, being unable to figure out what that is, feeling this point where, again, you're withdrawing, but that's not because of a lack of emotions. The masculine energy isn't withdrawing from something right now because of a lack of emotionality. Quite the opposite. It's because they're really conflicted. They're really conflicted on what to do and what the best thing to do is. Again, either working, again, for half of the masculine energy right now, this is potentially running, like I said, running away, feeling like you are running away right now from something that you feel a lot of emotionality on, because you feel to some extent that you might be identifying or looking at this feminine energy's non-reactivity as disinterest, as a point of inaccessibility to you. Where again, it is not. It is movement of a feminine energy that's just maintaining their own sense of balance at this time. While for the other half of the masculine energy right now, this is a moment that is potentially leading to a point of, again, frustration or confusion, because you yourself are not sure what to do, because the ways that you are approaching a feminine energy to generate a reaction from them right now that you may have utilized in the past are not working. They're not working. They're not eliciting. If the masculine energy's past experiences in order to move towards a feminine energy is trying to generate an emotional response, it's not working, because the feminine energy is in a point of emotional balance following their intuition at this time, which is also creating this point of uncertainty for you, because again, this is either a point that you are departing from this energy because you don't know what to do and it's moving away from a tactic or situation that you've utilized in the past that's not working, and it's too much anxiety on your own confidence to be able to muster and move through that. But you're recognizing that that's happening even as you do it. For the other half of the masculine collective, this is you looking at this energy, and this is the reason why you want to move closer to it. Because what you're really seeing here is that this feminine energy is able to maintain a degree of emotional balance, of insight, of intuition, even through any kind of emotionality that you throw at them. It's this moment for the masculine that you're recognizing that you cannot affect this feminine's energy right now through like emotional Your emotionality isn't going to shake the feminine's emotionality. But most importantly, doesn't mean that they don't care. Half the masculine collective right now is moving away from things because they're utilizing this as a point, is that they recognize that they don't care because it's not serving their purposes in that way. The other half of your masculine collective right now, what we're really seeing is this is that moment of identifying and saying, oh, this is an extremely balanced feminine energy that follows their intuition. I need to figure out how to move towards them. I'm not sure what to do. Final card for today's spread. I'm not sure what to do. Because for feminine energy, we are seeing that this is similarly for the feminine energy right now that's not in union. This is a moment of experiencing this from the masculine energy. There's something here where, again, you might be looking that the emotionality coming from a masculine doesn't match their own actions towards you. And again, you're either looking at this as a point of empathy and being like, I can see what's going on here. I can see the fact that this masculine energy is feeling a point of anxiety and emotional conflict, which is why they're acting this way. For the other half of the feminine collective, you could be observing it and you just don't care. This could be that moment of release that we're seeing, because you could be seeing this and being like, you are acting like you are trying to generate a reaction from me. For the feminine energy that's feeling this with empathy, it's because, again, you are looking at this from a masculine energy that you do not think is intending to do this intentionally. That there's something here about them moving from a state of not recognizing what they're doing. For the other part of the feminine collective right now, you could just be being like, you're doing this on purpose. You're doing this trying to get a reaction from me. And this is you observing that masculine energy and potentially not reacting, recognizing that they are acting in a way just to try to generate a reaction. But either way, feminine energy is holding a space where, again, it's not their lack of emotions on the subject. It's the fact that they refuse to be moved in terms of having an emotional outburst or reaction as it relates to what they're feeling. For masculine and feminine, this is creating a bit of a stalemate, because now they don't know how to move, what to move or what to do with. Even for the masculine and feminine energy right now that is in union, this is that conquerable point. What we're seeing here is this isn't a separation point in terms of what you're feeling. The solution is coming by recognizing what it is. And again, we saw this yesterday from the masculine and feminine energy that's not in union. There was some fogginess as to what it is that you both were moving towards right now, which is why we saw the Chariot coming out, right? Why we saw that Four of Wands in its transverse yesterday. This is the solution point if this is energy that's in union right now, because again, the masculine energy is feeling a bit more conflicted. The feminine energy knows a bit more about what they want at this moment. They're both working equally right now together to make sure that they're both moving in the direction of their higher purpose and their higher calling without falling into the realm of distraction at this time. While for the energies that are not in union, this is a moment of just being unsure how to proceed forward at this time. For feminine energy is looking at masculine energy that seems like they don't know what they want. Feminine energy is looking at a masculine energy that even if they don't intend to do so at this time, there's something here about them being able to be in an emotionally vulnerable, balanced place, or recognizing that there is a reaction point as it relates to the responses of the masculine energy, moving away or withdrawing when they feel emotionally conflicted right now. It leaves feminine at a loss as to what to do about it. For the feminine energy right now, that is looking at this as either as a masculine energy that is not intentionally trying to do this, but they are still doing it. Not sure what to do about it. For the masculine energy, that feminine energy is observing and saying like, oh, you are trying to elicit a reaction from me. Feminine energy is also not sure what to do about it. Like, this is feminine energy just kind of holding into their own right now with their own emotionality as they kind of observe masculine energy acting, I got to admit, pretty erratically right now from the feminine's point of view. While for masculine energy today, this is a moment that you are going through, a moment that is deeply triggering. It has got you off your emotional axis. You're not sure how to emotionally react. And this is that double whammy. Because for many of you, you're withdrawing from a feminine energy. You're withdrawing from a feminine energy right now, again, one or two reasons. Either because you are deeply triggered, or because there's some kind of optics from the past where you've derived or feel like being able to pull back in this faction is going to get you a response. It's going to trigger some kind of response from the feminine energy. And this is more difficult for the masculine today because you're not seeing your anticipated response from what you effectively did or were hoping to do with this withdrawal. For half the masculine energy right now, you're now looking at this feminine energy and don't recognize the fact that this energy does have emotionality. You're just feeling like they're being cold to you, which is making you feel even further upset. For the other half, the masculine energy, this is actually a point of enlightenment because you're seeing and recognizing the fact that this energy has a capacity of care for you, but they're no longer effectively going to be like reacting in the way that you can predict or anticipate. And you yourself are also very confused about what to do. The goal for both masculine and feminine energy right now is to remember what it is that you truly desire at this time. What is that higher purpose? What is that moment that you're trying to move into right now to build that higher purpose for you at this time? That is going to give you all the clarity and optics that you need as it relates to what the best next step is at this time. Bottom of the deck on this reading right now is our Six of Swords. For some of you, there's a letting go that is required here. In all variations, there's a moment for the masculine and feminine energy right now that is in union. Let's bear in mind there's some kind of conflict that triggered this. There's some kind of conflict that triggered all of this, even for the energies that are in union right now and having to do with the feminine energy being very emotionally expressive of their needs at this time. There's a feeling of some grief as you move away from some circumstances and situations that are causing too much difficulty for you, even as you experience them. For the masculine and feminine energy right now that is not in union, masculine energy is withdrawing today or moving away into a point of withdrawal, but they're doing it with a lot of grief that they're carrying with it. There's something here that feels like a burden and a desire not to move away from circumstances and situations, even as you are feeling this pain that is kind of pulling you or requiring you either intentionally or non-intentionally to do so at this time. While for the feminine energy that is not in union, this is also a moment that, again, feminine energy is working very hard right now to stay and maintain a sense of emotional balance and to move into a space of allowing that higher intuition to guide them forward. But it's not an easy journey. It's still difficult. This is not easy work for the feminine. For the masculine energy right now, who's looking at a feminine energy and is saying like, why are you so cold? Why are you so emotionless? I want you to remember that that's a feminine energy that has been working, that is working tooth and nail to be able to maintain that. That is not something easily done on the part of this feminine energy. So a lot of that grief is still being born today, even as we see some cycles reaching a point of completion and new starts occurring. That is our daily collective read for today. I want to thank you guys so much for being here and experiencing it with me. Just a reminder, if you would like to book a private reading with me, you can book one on my website, Strega.com. My private readings are done over video with the option of a recording sent to you afterwards. And you can book one on my website, Strega.com. Please remember, okay, if you book a private reading with me, it is a two-step process. You have to book the reading and you have to pay for the reading. Please make sure you hit both buttons on my site if you go for that reading. Most importantly, I want to remind you that I will never, ever, 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 ever reach out to you for a private reading. I will never DM you. I will never inbox you. I will never slide into your DMs and tell you that I have a very special message that only I can deliver. The only way you can book a reading with me is if you book one on my website. So I encourage you to do it there. I want to thank you guys so much for having this reading with me today, and we will do this again tomorrow.